very good morning to one and all gathered here. I hope everyone can hear me. Okay. So moving on to the opening prayer. Before we commence the webinar, I would like to request Mr. Samuel Jabakumar from Missionary Upholders Trust to commence the webinar with a word of prayer. Mr. Samuel Jabakumar.
Sure. எங்களை நேசிக்கிற நல்ல தகப்பனே, இந்த அருமையான காலை வேளைக்காக கூட நன்றியோடு துதிக்கிறோம். நாங்களும் கூட கத்தாவே ஒரு குடும்பமாக கத்தாவே இந்த வெபினாரிலே கத்தாவே ஜாயின் பண்ண கத்தர் கொடுத்த கிருபைக்காக ஸ்தோத்திரம் செலுத்துறோம். அநேக இடங்களிலிருந்து கத்தாவே வெவ்வேறு இடங்களிலிருந்து கத்தாவே நாங்கள் ஜாயின் பண்ண இந்த கொடுத்திருக்க இந்த அருமையான டெக்னாலஜிக்காக கூட நன்றியோடு துதிக்கிறோம். இதை பொறுப்பேற்று நடத்துகிற கத்தாவே ஜான் அண்ணனின் ஜூலியன் அண்ணனை கூட கத்தாவே நீர் ஆசீர்வதித்துள்ளோம். அவர்கள் மூலமாக கத்தாவே அநேக நன்மைகளை நாங்கள் பெற்று வருகிறோம். தேவனே, இன்னும் அதிகமாக எங்களை அவர்கள் அன்போடு கைட் பண்ணி வருவதற்காக நன்றியோடு துதிக்கிறோம். எப்பொழுது கூட கத்தாவே அந்த FCRA ரினிவல் காரியங்கள், அந்த 12A வேலிடேஷன் காரியங்கள் எல்லாவற்றை கத்தாவே அவர்கள் மூலமாக நாங்கள் கேட்டு அறிந்து சரியானபடி அதை நாங்கள் அப்ளை பண்ணி கத்தாவே நாங்கள் பெற்றுக்கொள்ள தேவனுக்கு கிருபை செய்தலுமாய் வேண்டிக் கொள்கிறோம். கத்தாவே அதை பொறுப்பேற்று நடத்துகிற கத்தாவே ஜான் அண்ணனின் ஜவுலியன் அண்ணன் குடும்பத்தை நீர் ஆசீர்வதித்தலும், என்ன நீர் சொல்ல சித்தம் கொண்டிருக்கோ அதன்படி நாங்கள் செய்ய தேவனுக்கு கிருபை செய்தலும், எல்லாவித அமெண்ட்மெண்ட்ஸ் கத்தாவே நாங்கள் சரியானபடி ஃபாலோ பண்ணவும், ஏதோ தப்பிதங்கள் நடந்து விடாதபடி கத்தாவை பார்த்துக்கொள்ளும். ஜாயின் பண்ணிருக்க ஒவ்வொரு கத்தாவுடைய கத்தாவை ஆவியினாலே நிரப்பரனு கத்தாவை ஒவ்வொரு கத்தாவை நீர் ஆசீர்வதித்தலும். துதி கன மகிமை எல்லாவற்றையும் உமக்கே செலுத்துகிறோம். மீட்பர் இயேசு கிறிஸ்துவின் மூலமாக வேண்டிக் கொள்ளுங்கள் பரமபிதாவே. ஆமென்.
Thank you, sir. Now, partner of our firm, Mr. C.A. Julian Inbadayalan, will welcome you all. Julian, sir.
Thank you, Monisha. Good morning, all. And thank you, Pastor, for the wonderful prayer. So, we are happy to welcome each and every one of you on behalf of John and Julian and the entire family, our firm. And this particular session, as Sarah has put enough effort to make our clients to understand the latest amendment and changes in the FCRA. And this is specially done for our clients. And we have few other also based on the request admitted them to join in this webinar. So we are happy to welcome each and every one of you. We also welcome a couple of CAs also have joined. And we welcome each and every one on our firm's behalf, and hope this is going to be a good learning, and hope this you could apply it in your day-to-day life with respect to your all your FCRA transactions. And I enjoy this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now, first let me share the instructions and a few things about today's agenda in a short manner. So, I hope the screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, it's visible. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. So, these are all the instructions. Basically, the very first instruction will be, please don't keep the name of the mobile. When you log in, try to rename the name of your mobile. And if you don't rename the mobile, we will have to remove your name from the Zoom meeting. So kindly do it at first. If you have not already did it, please make sure you did it. And of course, to change your name, if you need some guidance, there is this screenshot which is visible for you right now. So yeah, when you click the participants in that, you'll see this more button and you'll have to press it and you'll know what to do after that. It's all menu driven. And please also keep yourself muted and switch off your video all the time so that we'll have a better quality. And then obviously when you have questions, you can always post it in the chat box. There is a team working on the chat box where we will all take up the questions, we'll sum it up, and at the end of the session or when in between the sessions, if it's needed, we'll answer the questions. So yes, the PowerPoint of the session will be shared with the registered users only later. We'll tell you when. We'll email you the PowerPoint presentation. Please wait for it. And if there is any more clarifications, contact Mrs. Kamachi and Mrs. Priscilla. Then about our session agenda. From 10:30, it's already 10:45. So let me say 10:45 to 11:45, session 1 on FCRA renewal process by Mr. John Ravindran. And from 11:45 to 11:50, we'll have a 10 minutes break. And after that, 12 to 1, there will be the second session on the FCRA renewal. And then 1 to 2, we'll have lunch break. 2:30 to 3:30, we'll have session 3 on again FCRA renewal process, remaining of it. And 3:30 to 3:45, we'll again have a break session. And 3:45 to 4:45, we'll have the fourth session by Ms. Grace Lynn on Tamil Nadu Trusts Bill 2020, Amendment Bill 2020. And finally, 4:45 to 5:30, we'll take up Q&A session where all the questions will be answered. So this is it for today's itinerary. And over to you, John, sir, to commence the session on FCRA.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Monisha. Thank you so much. Give me a minute's time. I'll share the screen.
Sure.
For better quality, I have even switched off my video also, my camera also, so that I will not be visible. I will only see the presentation, and we will go on. Thank you so much, Julian. Thank you so much, Monisha, for the welcome. And thank you, friends, for joining for today's webinar. We did not expect so many of you to join today's webinar. We have planned it full day. I'm not sure whether it will go till 5:30, but we are making ourselves available till 5:30 because earlier webinars, what we have done is that we had to rush through, and then many sessions we could not complete the Q&A time, question and answers. So sometimes we replied back, sometimes we said we will take it later. So this time we thought we will give enough time so that we are able to help you with Q&A and everything. Okay, right. I hope I'm audible to you. In case there is any problem, please put it in the chat box. My staff will alert you. Today, as Monisha said, we'll be discussing on two topics. One is FCRA, primarily renewal. To understand renewal, we'll also be trying to understand the basic concepts and some of the amendments that have taken place. All these have a direct link with FCRA renewal process. We'll also be checking up a renewal application, annual return application, and the recent notification for extension of time, trying to understand the implications of all these things so that we get an overall understanding of the renewal process, because this time the renewal is not going to be easy. I'm sure you'll all understand as we complete today's sessions. Okay, right? And what I will do is that after I finish one particular section of my discussion, I'll give time for you to write down your question, because otherwise if I keep talking for about an hour and ask you to write down the questions, you may not remember that. So after every particular topic, I will give you some time for you to write down your question so that you can put it on the chat box. And then our team will collate everything and we'll take up the questions and then we will continue with that. Okay. I hope this is all right with you. Okay, let me start today's sessions. Thank you so much. Okay. Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. This is not a big act, hardly 50 sections. Okay, right? But this has played a very important, part in charitable religious organizations. Today, getting this registration is difficult. Even after getting this registration, there are few people who wonder whether to retain it or how to come out of that. All these are big question mark. Okay, so to understand this particular law, we need to first understand why this act at all. What is the reason for this act? Why should we have this particular law? So I'm going to explain to you the purpose of this law so that we understand this better. Okay, right, fine. There are two purposes of this act. The first purpose is to regulate the acceptance and utilization of foreign contribution. Okay, right. Let's not talk about foreign hospitality because this is not going to be helpful to us. To regulate the acceptance and utilization of foreign contribution by individuals, associations, or companies. Okay, that is our number one purpose. The second one is to prohibit acceptance and utilization of foreign contribution. Okay, right. First is to regulate the receipt and utilization of foreign contribution. The second one is to prohibit, to say no for foreign contribution. In fact, government of late has said, in fact, they have been saying this all these years. Of late has been saying that there are certain organizations that cannot transfer money to India. There are certain organizations that cannot receive foreign contribution in India. Okay, when they can say that, they say that if it is going to be detrimental to the national interest and the matters connected therewith. Okay, so if from this what we understand is that FCRA is primarily to regulate the incoming inflow of foreign contribution and also to make sure that that money which is coming into the India does not in any way hamper the national interest. So national interest is the most important reason why this particular act has been coming to force. Okay, right. And this law applies to whole of India. There is no state exempt from this. Okay, right? Whole of India, starting from Jammu Kashmir, right down up to Kanyakumari, and this side maybe from Bombay up to Calcutta, northeast states, everywhere, everyone is included, covered under this. There is no one exempt from this particular act. And also, if there are citizens who live outside India, to them also this law applies. So you cannot say that I am right now working in USA, so I will violate this law. No, that is not possible. Okay, as long as we are citizens of India, this law applies to us. Not only that, this law applies to the associate branches, subsidiaries outside India of companies or body corporates registered or incorporated in India. Supposing you form a subsidiary outside India, you have, or a branch outside India, and that branch or that subsidiary violates the provisions of FCRA, to them also, to that subsidiary also, even though they may be registered outside India, to them also FCRA applies. So this is a very comprehensive act because government is concerned about the national interest. Okay, right. What is foreign contribution? To understand this law, we need to understand foreign contribution. I'm sorry, almost every one of you will know what is foreign contribution, but let me briefly tell you this so that later on when we are going to talk about bank operation, this will be helpful. That is why I'm touching upon this foreign contribution definition. Foreign contribution is defined as a means definition. We all know what is a means definition. Means, this definition is comprehensive one, and there is nothing more can be added to that. So it says that foreign contribution means donation, delivery, or transfer. Okay, there are three things in that. It can be donation, or it can be delivery, articles. Okay, it can be transfer, online transfer. Okay, whatever it is. First, it could be an article. It could be an article, or it could be currency, or it could be security. We all know what is an article, anything in kind. Okay, right? Or currency. Currency, again, this section says It need not be foreign currency. It can be Indian or foreign currency. So many times we think that foreign contribution means only dollars that we receive or euros that we receive or pounds that we receive. Not true, because the bankers many times get confused when we go and give rupee check, they will say this is not foreign contribution, which is not true. Home Ministry has also given with FAQs, and FAQ also very clearly categorically says even Indian rupees is also foreign contribution. We'll see that what it is, okay, right? And security, which means that any share, scrip, stocks, bonds, debentures, okay, marketable securities, any incorporated company or body corporate. So shares of a company, stocks of a company, debentures of a company, okay, even mutual funds, they are all covered under security. So what it says is that, basically foreign contribution means donation, delivery, transfer from a foreign source. The most important thing. Let's understand what is foreign source little later. Let's first understand donation, delivery, transfer. First is article, second is currency, third is security from a foreign source. For the time being, for our limited understanding, please bear with me when I go through this, some basic thing, because after that, you will go through maybe for the 10, 15 minutes. Most of us are aware of all these things. For those who are not conversant with this, I'm explaining this to you. Okay, right? Let's take for the time being, for our understanding, foreign source is a foreign citizen. Foreign source has a bigger definition. We'll come to the tilt later. For the immediate understanding, let us take foreign source as a foreign citizen. Let's take Mike, an American citizen. Okay, right? Let's say Mike visits India from US. Okay, right? So he visits India, on tourist visa. He wanted to come and do sightseeing. And he lands up in Mahabalipuram. You know, Mahabalipuram is a beautiful, shore, seaside, town with a beautiful temple, and also a lot of architectural beauties are there. Old, things are there. Sorry. And he visits there, and there you have a home. You have a children home where you are teaching children, you are taking care of children. And this man, Mike, sees that and is quite impressed with your work. And what he does is that he walks into your room and then says, "Hey, John, I see that you're taking care of all these poor children." Then, from the way I can understand, they are all orphan kids or, poor children. The way you're taking care, I'm impressed by that. I want to help you. Here is 10,000 rupees. I'm giving it to you. He's giving you 10,000 rupees in cash. I'm giving it to you. The 10,000 rupees which Mike gives is foreign contribution. He is giving an Indian currency. It's okay, because the person who gives is a foreigner, foreign source, that money becomes a foreign contribution. Okay, so it is not necessary you should get it in dollars, not necessarily you should get in euros. It can be from Indian, it can be in Indian currency also. What is important is foreign source. Many times, what happens, we have visitors from abroad who visit our project, and they bring their own currency, they exchange that, they use that. Before leaving the country, what they do is that they give that balance currency to you and say that, because they cannot obviously take that money, and they don't want to spend that, convert that into dollars or euros and take it back to their country. So they give it to you and then say that, please keep this money and use it for the work you're doing, your school, your church, whatever it is. Okay, right? And that currency that you receive from foreigners is foreign contribution, and it needs to be deposited in FCRA account. We will discuss this little later. I'm not going to explain to you about article or security. The same thing. If Mike gives you, an article, he donates you chair, donates your laptop, donates you, school, equipment. Let's say he brings from his country, US, some microscopes and donates to you, or for your hospital, he gives you some second-hand equipments. all these will be foreign contribution. Okay, right? Similarly, securities, whether it is Indian shares or foreign shares, it will be foreign contribution. There are three explanations given here. I'm sorry, three explanations given to this particular section. Explanation one says that foreign contribution received from one source and then later on it is transferred to others either directly or through one or more persons shall also be deemed to be foreign contribution. For example, I have received foreign contribution. Okay, right? John received foreign contribution. Presume that I am an association. I received foreign contribution. And let's presume Julian is another an organization. And I give to Julian. That will also be foreign contribution. What Julian receives is also foreign contribution. But please note that this is not possible anymore now because this is prohibited now. We will discuss this little later. This transfer from one association to another association of foreign contribution is not possible. Next one, very important one. Income derived from foreign contribution or interest thereon shall also be deemed to be foreign contribution. They are not foreign contribution per se, but what the law says is that they also be deemed to be foreign contribution. Let's say, I am sure this we all know. The interest that we receive from our FCRA bank account is foreign contribution. We have been reporting this all these years. The interest that we get in fixed deposit is also foreign contribution. We've been reporting that. Take a good example. We have constructed a training center, okay, right, building, and that training center building, we give it on rent to other organizations for conducting their program. The training center building is completely the land and the building is out of foreign contribution. Okay, right? The income that I get from the training center will also be foreign contribution. In fact, the new form wants us to report that. And in fact, we are going to discuss that in the afternoon. The filling up of form FC4, I'm going to explain that to you. So income derived from foreign contribution is also be deemed to be foreign contribution. This is going to give us challenge in the bank operation. That's why I'm taking this. Okay, right? I've given an illustration of training center. Take the example. You have a school. When you are running a school, and computers are donated to you, by foreigners, or out of foreign contribution, you purchase computers. And you run a computer center, or in your school, you collect computer fees. Will that be foreign contribution? Yes, that will be foreign contribution. But accounting that is little tricky. If time permits, we will discuss that maybe in the afternoons. If you remind me that, if you are interested in that, I will explain how to account all these things. The next one, this is a very useful explanation given to us. What it says is that any contribution or any remittances or any consideration we receive by way of fee towards cost in lieu of goods or services rendered by such person in the ordinary course of his business, trade or commerce is not foreign contribution. Let me explain this again. Any fee that I receive or any services, any fee that I receive for sale of goods or any or any services I render for which I get foreign contribution, consideration rather, not contribution, consideration, that consideration will not be foreign contribution. Let's take the example. I am a church, okay, right? I'm a mission organization. What I do is that as part of my church activity or Christian mission organization, we publish Christian literatures, okay? We publish Christian literature. And that literature, we are selling it. We are selling it to the church members. We are selling it to outsiders. Whoever wants it, we sell their books, the CDs. That will not be foreign contribution. Renting is a service. I rent my training center, that rent will not be foreign contribution. I think I've confused you because in the earlier one, I talked about income derived from foreign contribution is foreign contribution. Here I'm saying services that I get is not foreign contribution. If you want further explanation, put it in the chat box and we will go through that in detail. Because these are all fundamental concepts, I'm not planning to spend more time on this. But in case you want to understand this better, put it in the chat box, then we will may not do this little later. Okay. What is not foreign contribution? I've explained what is foreign contribution. What is not foreign contribution? This is in the FAQs. I mean, every FAQ, Home Ministry explains this. What it says is that contribution made by citizens of India living in other country, okay, from his personal saving through normal banking channel is not treated as foreign contribution. I'll explain this. Okay, take for example, I get an invitation to go to Singapore, and then there the organization pays me in dollars, Singapore dollars, okay, for the training. And out of that Singapore dollars, I give something to an organization. I talked about Julian as an organization, just for the time being, for our understanding. I contribute to Julian. My contribution will not be foreign contribution, even though I may be making in Singapore dollars or I may be making in US dollars. Whatever currency that I make, that will not be foreign contribution. What is to be done? The organization, Julian should get my passport and also a letter, okay, to make sure that I have contributed, that I am an Indian citizen. Okay, right? Here again, if you want any further queries, please put it in the chat box. Then I will take time to explain. What is foreign source? This is an inclusive definition. Earlier, foreign contribution, I talked about a means definition. Means it's a closed, watertight compartment. Nothing can be added to that. Whereas inclusive is that the way the act is defined, the section is defined, more can be included in that, and similar activities can be included in that. What are the foreign source? I'll just take a couple of minutes to explain that. It says that foreign government of a foreign country, government of any foreign country or any agency of such government is foreign source. Okay, right? So that is foreign source. Any international agency, but UN is not main foreign source. So you can receive from UN funds. Similarly, World Bank and IMF, all these things are exempt. But any international agency, any donor agency, they are foreign source. A foreign company is a foreign source. A corporation, not being a foreign company, incorporated in a foreign country, it's a foreign source. A multinational corporation is a foreign source. A trade union of a foreign country, right? Whether registered or not registered in that foreign territory. Okay, right? Trade union of a foreign country is a foreign source. A foreign trust, foundation, or a society, club, or other association, or association of individuals formed and registered outside India, citizen of foreign country. This I will explain to you. All these are foreign source. Take the example, there are few friends in America. All these friends hold Indian passports. Okay, right? And what they want to do is that they want to help children in India. They want to support their educational activities. So what they do is that they register a trust in US. But the person who are registering all are Indian citizens. But they registered a trust in US, that trust will become foreign source. Even though the trustees are Indian, that trust will be foreign source. Good examples are the Gulf countries. Many of our people, Tamils, Malayalis, or Telugu people, North Indians, they've gone and then they are working there in Gulf. And what they do is that there are a number of churches in the Gulf, Muscat, men and Oman, men. Yeah, there are churches there. Bahrain, there are churches. Every country there are churches, right? And they allow only Christians in the Muslim country to come and worship there. And what these people do, they all come together and then they formed, as kind of an organization for the church. And when you get money from that organization, association rather, sorry, that will be foreign contribution. I hope I'm making myself clear to you. Okay, right. This was the old definition, but this is now removed. Earlier, till I think 2016, even Indian companies where foreigners, when they hold more than half, more than 51%, okay, right, more than half the nominal capital, more than 51% in share capital, even Indian companies were also a foreign source. We have number of IT companies here where, foreigners have invested in that company. Many banks, private banks, take for example HDFC Bank, because government now allows investment into these banks through different sources. The popular one is foreign direct investments, where the promoters invest in the company. And then there is also what is known as they invest through stock market. The investors as foreign institutional investor, FII, there are there. There are portfolio investment. There are different methods under which foreigners can invest. So HDFC Bank, there was always a problem. When their shareholding will exceed 51%, we never knew that. One time it was Indian source. Another day it will become a foreign source. So if you want to get under CSR program any contribution from them, you'll have to find out whether they are foreign source at that time or at the time of contribution or not. To be on the safe side, you need to have FCRA to get any funds from these companies. But today, government has said that, there are no more. In the Finance Act 2016, government has amended. They say that if they are, the investments are made under the regulations, if they have followed all those rules, FDI rules, and then they will not be foreign source. Okay, if they have followed all the regulations, for example, if they are investing in a foreigner is investing in India, they have to comply with a lot of forms. They have to file that. They should have. There are two ways routes possible: automatic and approval route. So one of that they should have taken up, and if they have complied with that, even if it is a foreign company, foreigners have invested in that. Even if the company is 100% kindly mute yourself, sir, please. Thank you so much. Even if the company is owned 100% by foreigners, okay, it's 100% owned by foreigners. If they have fulfilled the conditions for direct investment, foreign direct investment under the FEMA, then they will not be foreign source. Okay, right? This has a different background. I put that. Let's not get into that. So, because this is essential, we're going to discuss on CSR later date on Wednesday. So I wanted to understand that. So today, when you want to if you want to get funding for your CSR program or for your any activity from a company registered in India, you can do that. Only thing you'll have to make sure that the company is complied with this FEMA regulations. If they've done that, then you're happy with that. But please note that the branches, liaison office, project office of foreign companies continue to be foreign source. What is that branch, liaison office? All foreign banks are foreign source. All foreign banks. Take the example of HSBC Bank, Standard Chartered Bank. Okay, right? And then there are many foreign banks that are operating in India. They still prefer to be operating as branches of the foreign banks all these branches, foreign banks or foreign source, if you want to get any CSR funding from them, remember you must have FCR registration. Otherwise, you are not allowed to receive funds from them. If you don't have FCR registration, you cannot. If you don't have FCR registration, you can get funding from a company registered in India fulfilling FEMA regulations. Okay, right? And I will stop now for a few minutes so that in case you have any doubts, any queries, you can put it in the chat box. Our team will note it down. Then we will continue further. Okay.
ஆமா சார் டவுட்
Okay, right. Let me continue further. I'm not going to explain the registration or the prior permission process today, because our focus is only on the renewal. But we need to know, the registration. What is the act that, what does FCRA require? What it says is that you want to get foreign contribution, you need to be registered with the Home Ministry. So what section 11.1 says is that no person having definite cultural, economic, educational, religious, and social program shall accept foreign contribution unless such person obtains a certificate registration from the central government. So if you are having, of the 5 limbs, programs in any of these areas, cultural, economic, educational, religious, or social, then you must be registered with Home Ministry, Ministry of Home Ministry or central government to get foreign contribution. You can do your program without foreign contribution, okay, right? I mean, there are two types of registration possible, regular registration and prior permission. We are not going to do that. The section talks about no person, and section 2 defines the person. It's again an inclusive definition. It says a person includes an individual, a HUF, an association, a company. I mean, because this was framed in 2010, they still have section 25 company, but now it will be section 8 company. So this FCRA in present form, earlier the focus was more on association. But now the focus is more on, the focus includes individuals also. So if you are an individual and you are involved in religious activity or you're involved in educational activity, then you need FCR registration. I'll take two examples and explain to you. Let's take my example. Let's say I'm just giving an illustration. I would like to help children in their education. I think helping children is an investment in the society. So what I do is that I support about 5 students for their school fees. Every year I give them school fees, I support them. I have a friend, Nesa Kumar, he is in US, and right now he is an American citizen. He's been there for many years. So what he says is that Nest calls me and says, hey Ravi, I know that you're supporting 5 children. I can give you money for 10 more children. Kindly mute yourself, please. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Let me explain again. I'm a person supporting 5 children out of my income. I'm doing individually. Please make sure that everyone is muted, please. There are some who are not muted. Please make sure that everyone is muted. Okay, thank you. Thanks. I'm a person involved in helping children with scholarship. So I'm doing it as an individual. I'm an Indian citizen residing in Chennai. And my friend Nesa Kumar, he is an American citizen now living in Oregon. So what he says is that, hey Ravi, you are doing fine. I will give you money. I will transfer to your account, your personal account. Only if it is a trust, it's a problem. You need FCRA and all this stuff. I'm not interested in any of this organization. I'll give money to you. I trust you. You support 10 more children. I cannot receive that money because this becomes an educational program, and the educational program requires FCR registration. Okay, I cannot do that. Similarly, if you are a pastor, okay, right, and there are organizations supporting you for your personal living expenses. Supposing they are supporting you for your church work, then you cannot receive that money because this becomes foreign contribution. But this is going to be very difficult for you. Whether this is church program or for personal, you will have to be very carefully keeping the records. Otherwise, you may run into a problem. Okay, so the registration includes, individuals also. I wanted to make you understand that. When I've given you some illustration, we have already talked about it. In fact, some of you who have been attending my program, you know that. So this is a classic example. I picked it from Sanjay Patra and Manoj Fogla, my friends. Okay, right. My church, in fact, the temple is also based that every church, after Sunday worship, you'll see a lot of people, poor people, sitting and then asking for money. Okay, right. So my friend Mike comes with me to my church, and then when he goes out, what he does is that, he has 500 rupee note, 500 rupee note, and he takes it and gives it to one beggar, one person who's asking for money. Will that be a foreign contribution? Please do not unmute and speak. Put it in your chat box. Will that be foreign contribution? Mike gives 500,000 rupees to one person, will that money, what he gives, will be foreign contribution? It will not be, because he gives it for that particular person. Let's say John is a big beggar. John, he gives it for his personal purpose. It's not a foreign contribution. The next week again, Mike comes, and now this time 10 people come and circle Mike. Mike sees me, John, sitting and asking for money. He gives the 10,000 rupees to me and says, John, distribute this to the 9 other people. Distribute to yourself, 10 people. When John, I receive that money, it becomes foreign contribution, because I've received it for economic activity, because I'm going to distribute this money. This becomes social activity. I'm distributing. So this will be foreign contribution. Okay, right? So I wanted to understand the basic thing. The next is, the same Mike is working in Cognizant. He is involved in IT department, developing program. And let's say they are developing software only for Ministry of Home Affairs, FCRA department and income tax department. And he's doing only that. He is not doing any program for any foreign client. And his salary is coming in India. He is assessed to income tax in India. He pays income tax in India. His bank account is in India, State Bank of India, Nagar branch. Okay. From that, he gives 1 lakh. Okay, right? That 1 lakh is also foreign contribution, because the person who gives is a foreigner. He's not holding Indian passport. Let's take another example. Okay, right? This is good one. Next one. Let's say my friend Paul, who has been in India, now he moved to Australia and he's having Australian passport, Paul Jabez. Okay, he's having Australian passport. And his father, he owns a property in Chennai. And let's say his father is no more. So Paul gets rent from that property. Okay, Paul is an Australian citizen, rent from that property. And that rent he deposits in the NRO account, because all these local money should go into NRO account. From this NRO account rent, he gives donations to you. That will also be foreign contribution, because Paul is an Australian citizen. Okay, I hope these concepts are clear to you. We are taking up next one because there is a change in this particular section. Now, FCRA, if you look at that, it talks about registration, prior permission, renewal. There is also talking about complete absolute ban on receipt of foreign contribution, section 3. So certain category of people cannot receive foreign contribution. Okay, the first category is that political people, candidates for election, anybody contesting, because we don't have elections in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Pondicherry now. Anybody may nominated for as a candidate for election, he cannot receive foreign contribution. Okay, right? Member of any legislature, including panchayats, MPs, MLAs, okay, right? Panchayat chairman or municipal commissioner, municipal councillors, ward members, all these people cannot receive foreign contribution. Political party or its office bearers, none of our political parties can receive foreign contribution. Or its office bearers, okay, they also cannot receive foreign contribution. The president, the secretary, the treasurer, general secretary, treasurer, they cannot receive foreign contribution. Okay. The next one is those who are involved in news. It can be printed one, okay, printed news, or it can be audio news or audio visual news, okay, right? Or it can be even in sorry, electronic mode also. It's there, electronic mode also. So anybody involved in news, they are not allowed to receive foreign contribution. This is an exhaustive list. They have put everything, covered everybody, so you can go through that. We are going to share this PPT. You can go through that. Earlier, it was only the news media, printed newspapers or magazines. Okay, they were not allowed to receive foreign contribution. But later on, the act was amended to enlarge, to include even television. If you are involved in telecasting news, if you are involved in broadcasting news, okay, or in your website, you publish current affairs, then you are not allowed to receive foreign contribution. Okay, so please note that some of us, without even realizing that in our website, because now all of us are required to have our own website. We think we are publishing our activities. Sometimes our activities cross the line of news. So it's very thin. We run into a problem. So make sure that when you are having a website, in fact, you need to have a website. What you're publishing is not news. Okay, right? News is, when the news that comes in the registered newspaper or news that are telecast, broadcast, the type of news I'm talking about. Then the next one is public servant, judge, government servant, employees of any corporation. So anybody working in government, okay, who is a public servant, we'll say this little later, because this was included very recently in 2020 only. This is included, this particular category. Judges, government servants, employee of any corporation. What are the corporation where government of India or state government have invested 51% or more? Public sector companies. If they are there, then you cannot receive foreign contribution. The final one is organization of political nature. We're not going to talk about organization of political nature today. So these categories are not allowed to receive foreign contribution. Okay, the recent one is public servant. 1 minute. Who are all public servant? Okay, public servant, the definition is being, they are talking about section 21 of IPC. It has got about 13 different categories of people, but I have taken only what is relevant for us. What it says that every person in the service or pay of the government or remunerated by way of fees or commission for performance of any public duty by the government, they are public servant. For example, if there is a contractor who works for Chennai Corporation or some ward, he is also a public servant. Government teachers, aided school teachers, they are public servant. Okay, right? Anybody getting pay from the government, remuneration from the government for performance of any public duty, they are public servant. Okay, right? Similarly, every person in the service or pay of a local authority or a corporation established by the central or state government. So even if you're an employee of a government company, then you are a public servant. So, which means that if you're a public servant, then you cannot receive foreign contribution. So what is the implication? What is the impact of that? You cannot remunerate public servant, because when you are giving remuneration means, I'm going to talk about exception to the ban little later. The next slide, I'm going to talk about it. So for example, you cannot give them gift. Okay, right? Let's say a public servant is in your trust. Okay, can they be members? We are going to talk about it. Short while now. You cannot give them a gift, public servant. It is not possible, because you will be violating FCRA. Public servant, they are under the banned category from your foreign contribution, because we already talked about a transfer. When you give foreign contribution to another person, to a public servant, then you are violating FCRA. Public servant is also violating FCRA. That will be his headache. But we need to be careful about our responsibility. My responsibility is that I should not remunerate public servant. Okay, right? Should not give them as a gift, contribution, give as a gift. So you'll have to be careful with remuneration. This is not only for public servant, everybody. In fact, the public servant definition is exhaustive. We saw that. So, I mean, you cannot have, supposing, I mean, you're having an editor of a newspaper in your board. Possibly you can have that. We have to talk about it, whether you can have them or not. Okay, right? In the board, we have to discuss that. But giving them some contribution is prohibited. Now comes the next question. Can I have this banned category of people in the general body? Because is there any restriction in my general body? Can I have them, or can I have them the board members also? So what is your take on this? Can I have your response in the chat box, please? I'm not able to see the chat. Thanks. Okay. In fact, Home Ministry has published an FAQ. Okay, what it says is that whether government servants, judges, employees of a government-owned control company can be on the executive committee or board of the association. The answer says yes. The legal entity of a person under FCRA is distinct from individual person. Therefore, person who cannot receive foreign contribution may happen to be on the board of such association. I'm sorry, the way I'm drawing this, okay, right? So there is no restriction for you to have public servants or the category of banned people to be in your board. But appointing them officers of the association or as the chief executive, you will have to think twice, because officers of the association, again, if it is not full-time, but it's purely honorary, then yes, you can take them as officers of the association. But CEO, my suggestion is that don't take, because CEO is a full-time responsibility. It's a full-time responsibility, and public servants, government servants, or the listed people are expected to have their own responsibility. So my humble suggestion is that do not take them as CEO. Officers also, if it does not require full-time, then you may take them. But CEO, I would not advise you to go through that. Okay, right? What are the exceptions to the ban on receipt? I talked about ban, right? People who cannot receive foreign contribution. So in this category, government says, there are exceptions to that. Okay, right? And what it says that this is the first category. All these, you see this, are for the services rendered. Some kind of remuneration for the services rendered. They can receive by way of salary or remuneration for the services rendered in the ordinary course of business, or in the course of international trade for the business transacted. Agent of foreign source, ordinary course remittances received under FMR. Okay, so you are an employee or a businessman or an agent of a business. For that business activity, you can receive foreign contribution. You can receive from them. This is not a foreign contribution. These are all consideration. You can also receive by way of gift or presentation. Okay, right? This is of course primarily meant for the government servants. This has to be accepted in accordance with the rules made there under. You can receive from your relatives. Okay, you can receive from your relative. Because what you receive from a relative is not foreign contribution. But please remember, when you receive from your relatives, when the receipt exceeds 1 lakh, you need to inform the Home Ministry. Again, in FAQ, they make it very clear. You'll have to inform Home Ministry. You have to file a simple form from HC1. It's a very simple form, and intimate them that you received this much amount from your brother, sister, or your children. You'll have to inform the Home Ministry. Next is by way of scholarship, stipend, or payment of like nature. Don't try to use this creatively for your organization. You can, because scholarship is received for the individual, it is not for the organization. Let's say I am doing some higher studies for which I need some support. I have approached a donor and they are giving me scholarship or they give me stipend, I can receive. There are no restrictions on that at all. Okay, right? So anyway, I'm just keeping this. Okay, right? I'm sorry, this again is not skipping. Let me take you through the duties of recipients. Okay, right? And we'll be discussing each and every one little elaborately because all these have an impact on your renewal. From one, what we are going to discuss. Okay, right? All these have impact on renewal. The first one, we'll be discussing about maintaining separate books of account. We'll be discussing about audit of accounts. Even the certificate format we'll be discussing later in the afternoon. We'll discuss about the annual returns. Afternoon, we'll take the form and then discuss that. Receipt of foreign contribution through designated bank, we'll discuss that. Multiple bank, when you have, what is to be done, we'll discuss that. You need to preserve books of account for a period of 6 years. But even though the law says 6 years, I mean, these days, some of our clients received FCRA notice where they are asking details for some of these details they wanted from the inception. So if you are not having the books of account, if you're not having the records, then you will find it difficult. So, I mean, the law says 6 years, but you may have to keep it for a longer period. And renewal, we are going to discuss that in depth. Not to transfer funds to other organization, there is absolute ban. That also we'll discuss that. So these are the things that we are going to discuss this today. So let's take one after another. We need to maintain separate books of accounts, sets of accounts, exclusively foreign contribution received and utilized. And our accounting period can only be 1st April to 31st March. We are also expected to maintain asset register, investment register, and minutes book. Okay, right? So the word exclusive is exclusive because now we're going to see that in the afternoon. We are going to give a commitment. You're going to say that, yes, I am doing this. Because I mean, in our office, we still come across organization mixing funds, even though we have been telling them don't mix and don't do that. And I mean, these organizations will know that. In fact, we put in our ML also, management letter to you, saying that you are mixing, don't do that. And now, I mean, in this FC4, we have to say, man, whether you are mixed it or not, you are going to give all these commitments to them. So they make it very clear. It is mandatory that you must maintain exclusive books. Exclusive means only foreign contribution. You cannot mix local money and foreign money. That's what I put it here also. Do not mix local funds and foreign contribution. There are some of us, who do programs for donors. They want us to have this own means contribution. OMC means own means contribution. Donor will give you 80% of a grant, and I need to raise 20%. So that together, we will match this 100%. This 20% grant, sometimes I may not be able to raise it from foreign source. I'll have to raise it locally from Indian source. In such case, can I mix both this FC and my local funds? No, you cannot. You cannot mix both. You cannot. This is not possible. You should not do that. It has to be exclusive. Foreign contribution means foreign contribution alone. You'll have to maintain Indian contribution separately. And then for donor, you keep both together. But cash book has to be separately. It has to be exclusive cash book. It has to be exclusively, it has to be exclusive cash book, bank book, ledger. Okay, for foreign contribution. You don't mix foreign contribution with local money. And you need to bifurcate program and admin expenses. We'll see this little later. Maybe after the break, we will see this bifurcation between program and admin expenses. We also need to maintain fixed register, more particularly for foreign contribution fixed assets, assets purchased out of foreign contribution. This has become more important after the recent amendment. We'll be discussing that elaborately. This has become more important to us. Fixed asset register for foreign contribution. In fact, in our ML, every year we are saying that you're not having asset register or your asset register is incomplete. Please do that, because if your asset register is not complete, if you're not able to identify what are the assets that you have purchased of foreign contribution, you will run into a major problem. So please make sure that you are having asset register, one for local funds, Indian contribution, other for foreign contribution assets. Keep that exclusively, keep it correctly. The next one is investment register. Okay, right? In fact, this year onwards, you're going to reconcile the deposits. We'll be saying what are the opening FDs, what are the deposits made, what are realized, what are closing. We'll have to be going to say all these things. So you'll have to keep investment register. Only then it will be easier for you to do that. Otherwise, if you are from your tally or your books, your ledger, the investment ledger, you take an ad, tomorrow reconciling will be a problem. From this year onwards, you'll have to give complete details. Minutes book. Many of us don't keep minutes book. In fact, for renewal, we are going to give right minutes for opening bank account, all those stuff. So please keep minutes book. Smaller NGOs, we don't keep that. Please have the habit of conducting meeting regularly, recording the minutes and keeping it safe. So make sure that you're having, when I talk about exclusive, I mean exclusive books of account. So make sure that you're having exclusive books of account. Okay, right? Exclusive has to be exclusive, not otherwise. You'll have to maintain that. We have a practical problem. Okay, what are the practical problem we have? Sometimes I may not get enough funds. Okay, right? I may not get enough funds. Uh, can I take loan to meet my FC expenses and put the loan in my FC account? For example, my donor has promised to give me 10 lakh rupees. For various reasons, he is not able to transfer the money. He wants me to start the program so that he will transfer the money in 2 months' time. And I need to start the program. I don't have money. Can I borrow, take loans from bank and put the money in my FC account and then spend that? Absolutely no. I am not allowed to do that. Okay. I cannot do that. I should not do that. Okay, right? If I take loan, it will go into my local account or Indian contribution account, spend from that, and then report to the donor. And when the money comes, refund of loan from FC, do that. Take from the bank and refund the loan back to the bank only. Okay, right? And account that as application, because even in the income tax law, this is allowed. Account that as application for which you have these details. Tell the Home Ministry, this is what we have done. We'll have to explain, but this is going to be a little tricky for us. Look at that. Can I use other donors' funds? You can with their approval. Using other donor funds, when you'll have to take approval from the other donor, and you can use these funds. Okay, right? I'll give you 2 minutes time, and then we'll have the break for about 10-15 minutes time. So if you have any doubts or clarifications, please put it in your chat box, and then we will come back. Okay, right? After some time. So I'll give you 2 minutes time. You can put your questions in the chat box, and then we will meet at 12 o'clock. Okay, right? So please do not disconnect, because if you disconnect again, you have to rejoin. The session will be live. You can we'll be back after 15 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay. Thank you.
எப்படின்னா கரண்ட் வந்து 22 தான் போடுறாங்க, 22 தான் போடுறாங்க. அந்த கரண்ட் ஜனவரி ஃபெப்ரவரி 20 ஆவரேஜ்ல இருந்து 2 தான் 22 தான் போடுறாங்க. 20 கம்மியா 1864 மந்த்லி ஆவரேஜ்ல எடுத்துருக்கேன். இல்ல எனக்கு இந்த மந்த் இருக்குதா
Okay, shall we start? I'm not able to hear you. I hope we can start the meeting now. I've seen in the chat box some people have commented that they're not able to hear. So please escalate. My team is checking up the chat box, and if you're still not able to hear, we will see how best we can help you. Okay, right. Let me continue with our program now. We already talked about it. Let's get into the admin expenses. Ceiling on admin expenses, and what it says is that every person who is registered and granted certificate or given prior permission expense utilize foreign contribution only for the purpose for which the funds are received. I'm sorry. Yeah. Only for the purpose for which the foreign contribution has been received. Okay, so he cannot use it for any other purposes. That they're very clear. And again, Section 8, which says that they shall not defray as far as possible such sum not exceeding 20% of such contribution received in a financial year to meet administrative expenses. And the proviso also states that provided where the administration expenses exceeding 50%, sorry, it should be 20%, 20% may be defrayed with the prior approval of the central government. Okay, right? And then it says that may form the rules. So this was amended in the month of September, saying that you can only spend 20% of your foreign contribution in that year for your administrative expenses. If you want to spend more than 20%, then you'll have to take approval from the central government. It has to be only with the prior approval of the government. It cannot be done with otherwise. So if you're going to spend more than that, you need to have approval. In fact, a couple of organizations have already recommended them to write to Home Ministry saying that this rule has come only in the month of September. And we have been spending about 50% till September, till this rule was notified. Till this act was amended. So please permit us, do not penalize. So we asked them to send emails on the letterhead to the Home Ministry. It's going to be a challenge, okay? And what is administration expenses? We're going to see that. And this is also going to give us challenge because they're talking about 20% of the contribution received in a financial year. So this has got some tricky elements also. We'll discuss that, okay? Because all these have, bearing on your renewal also. In case you are exceeding, it can be done only with the approval of the Home Ministry. Even if a donor gives you permission, you may be spending as per the budget approved by the donor. But that is not the criteria. The criteria is that if you're exceeding 20% for admin, you should get approval from the Home Ministry. Okay, right? And the old law, I talked about 50%. The new law now, which says that it is only 20%. Okay, right? So what could be the reason for this? The possible reason is that when we have been reporting year after year, till 2011 onwards, we have been reporting this, 11, 12 onwards. And by and large, the NGOs admin expenses as reported to the Home Ministry has been a little bit less than 20%. Only very few, because I saw one statistics, only very few have reported more than 50%. Okay, right? And still lesser number only reported more than 20%. So the government has seen our report and reduced it to 20%. And all these days we were not worried, but now with all the changes we are not concerned because strict interpretation of the rules will put us in trouble. So let's see that what are all administration expenses. The rule 5, which says that what is administration expenses? Salaries, wages, travel expenses, and remuneration to the members of the executive committee or governing council of a person. Normally, we don't pay to the board members or to the trustees also. But there are some exceptions because income tax law does not prohibit us paying remuneration to board members, trustees, okay, right? But Tamil Nadu Societies Registration Act has restrictions. Under Tamil Nadu Societies Registration Act, you are not allowed to pay remuneration to your officers. So, I mean, most of us who are registered as society, we are not paying anything to our board members also. Only in trust, we are making payment. And if you are making payment to your board members, then you are in for trouble. It says that salaries, wages, travel expenses, or any remuneration to the board members or trustees will be categorized as an admin expenses. Then recruitment cost, all expenses towards hiring personnel, management of activities and salaries and wages and kind of remuneration paid, including travel of such personnel. If you are having an HR department, okay, or human resource development department, okay, human resource management department, whatever name you're calling it, all the expenses connected with that department, including the salaries, the travel, will be administration expenses. Similarly, all your accounting, finance department expenses will also be admin expenses. We have finance department, we have accountant. Whether you call them as a program accountant or project accountant or general accountant, all will be admin expenses. Okay, that accountant may be exclusively for program. He keeps only accounts of the program. Still, it will be an administration expenses. He's only sending reports. He's only involved. See, some of us we have, like for example, if you are involved in childcare, we have sponsor relations department where their responsibility is only getting information from the donors, whatever communication to the children, passing it on to children, and children, whatever they communicate, sending it to the donors, foster parents, these type of things. This is also doubtful because we are going to explain a little later. Okay, whether this will qualify as an program expenses. Okay, right? So anything connected with your finance department or accounts department is an admin expenses. The next one is expenses related to consumables like electricity, water charges, telephone charges, postage, repairs to premises from where the organization is functioning. So generally, your head office expenses or even your regional office expenses, okay, or your zonal office expenses will also be admin expense. It will not be program expenses or expenses. It can be telephone charges connected with that, electricity charges for that building, rent for that building, any postage, they have included even postage, any maintenance expenses, all will be your administration expenses. Similarly, you conduct board meeting, AGM, all expenses connected with that will be your administration expenses. Board meeting invitation, general body meeting invitation, travel that you pay to board members, okay, right? Or any other expenses, the incidental expenses, the um, whatever snacks that you buy, all will be your administration expenses. Maintenance of vehicles will be your administration expenses, okay, right? And writing reports, filing reports will be your administration expense. That's why I explained by the sponsor relation department. Legal charges, professional charges will be administration expenses. Rent, premises, I mean rent, repairs to premises, and other expenses or utilities, your maintenance of your assets, all will be your administration expenses. They have given two exceptions to that. Okay, in fact, the second proviso is very good. We will. This gives you more clarity. The first proviso gives an illustration. What it says is that salaries or remuneration to personnel engaged in training or collecting, or collection and analysis of field data of an association primarily engaged in research and training. shall not be counted as administration expense. This is an illustration they've given. Okay, you're an organization, association engaged in research or training, and you pay salaries to the people, the trainers, okay, or you are involved in collecting data for the purpose of research and training, okay, that expenses will not be administration expenses. The second proviso makes it very clear. What it says is that any expenses incurred directly in furtherance of the stated objectives of the welfare-oriented organization is program expenses. So what is your program expenses? It should be directly in furtherance of stated objectives. So I've seen some of the questions in the chat box, whether my program staff salary is a program expenses. Answer lies here. If the program staffs are involved directly in the furtherance of your objectives, then it will be program expenses. Now, many of us, the temptation for us at present is that call your program accountant as a program staff, program supervisor as a program staff implementer. I think that is risky. So please, whenever you are redesignating anybody, make sure that you are giving them enough work to justify that they are involved in direct implementation of the program project. They are not in supportive role. Accounts department is supportive role. Project reporting is supportive role. Legal professional work is supportive role. People should not be in supportive role. They should be in direct program implementation. They have given examples. Salaries to doctors, because doctors are involved in treating patients, then they are directly involved in project implementation. Salary of teachers, they are again involved directly in implementing the projects. These are all the illustrations given, program expenses. Okay, your accountant in the school, accountant in the hospital, they will not be your program expenses. The same doctor, if it's a medical superintendent, okay, only involved in administration, his salary will be administration expenses. If your principal salary, even though she is a teacher by professional qualification, if she is not involved in teaching, her salary may not qualify as an main program expenses. So the key here is you should be involved in direct implementation of the program. You should be involved in direct implementation of program. If you are not involved in direct implementation of the program, then you will not be qualified as your expenses will not be qualified as a program expense. It will be categorized as a project expense, admin expenses only. So please understand this, because a lot of questions are being raised. So this, I think, should give you clarity on your admin expenses. This is going to give us a lot of challenges, because what is going to happen is that for many of us, salary and travel and food expenses are higher, because our nature of activity is this, especially those of us who are involved in human rights, or those of us who are involved in empowerment. Most of our expenses will be only travel and field staff salary, and the program expenses in the form of food, renting of program hall, and all those stuff. This is going to be challenged now. I've just listed few examples. Regional office expenses, program zonal office expenses may not qualify as a program expenses. All my fixed assets will not qualify, even if it is for the direct program activity, unless it has direct nexus with the program. Okay, it's going to be very difficult. Project accountant salary, documentation assistant salary, legal associate salary, executive director salary, admin assistant, fundraising department, IT department, evaluation expenses. All this is going to be a challenge for us. Okay, right? Expenses. How do you do that? Redesign your program, revisit your budget. Don't just change the designation alone. Don't just change the program accountant salary or project accountant salary to your program staff, program coordinator or program staff salary. That will not be helpful because tomorrow, if Home Ministry does an examination of this, see that he's involved, not involved in direct implementation, then they will question, you will run into a major problem. So when you are designing the program again, ensure that these people, these staff are also involved in implementing the program. Then you rename them. Also, the best advice is raise local resources for admin expenses. No more foreign funding for your admin expenses. Raise local resources. It's going to be a huge challenge. Nobody wants to pay for your admin expenses. I tell you, nobody will pay for your admin expenses. Everybody would love to give support only for the programs. We're going to have a huge task of raising resources, but it's a challenge that we'll have to face now. We have another tricky question now. What is that? Yeah, I'm taking that. What it says is that the restriction on admin expenses, if you read that section carefully, it says that not exceeding 20% of such contribution received in a year. Many of us have been thinking, even myself, when I read first time, I thought my total expenses, let's say 10 lakh, my administration expenses should not exceed 2 lakh. But that is not true. If you read the section carefully, it says that 20% of my foreign contribution received in the financial year, I can spend for admin expenses. Okay, right? This is going to create another challenge to us. Take, for example, this particular year, I did not receive any foreign contribution. The reason is I had accumulated funds. My donor has already given me enough funds for me. I have funds available in my bank account. And he says that you use that bank balance, use your fixed deposit, and carry out your project. And when I do this, I will not be able to spend any amount on my administration expenses at all. I'm going to have a challenge. And I received part of the grant last year and balance in current year. For example, my donor's project period is January to December. My accounting period is April to March. And he sent grant for 6 months, the month of January. Okay, right? So for that particular year, 20% admin expenses I would easily meet because I received 3 more months grant. That money will be available for me to give calculation that I am able to meet 20%. But next year, where I have not received funds, but balance available in my bank account and with the funds, meeting this 20% criteria is going to be a huge challenge now. So this, I am going to face a problem. What is the way out for this? My suggestion is that please write to Home Ministry well in advance, explaining the reason why you are not able to meet this 20% criteria. Write to them saying that I received my contribution during this year, or donor has asked me to liquidate my deposit and spend the money. Donor has asked me to use the available funds in the bank account and spend. I'm going to spend out of my accumulated funds, which means that I will not be able to meet this criteria of 20% of contribution received in this financial year. So please permit me to exceed this 20%. Give them a budget, give them an estimation. This is what I intend to spend. Please give our approval. This you'll have to write it in your letterhead, get it signed by a chief functionary with a seal, along with the budget working, scan this and email to the Home Ministry. If you visit FCRA website online, they have given about half a dozen email IDs. including the director, support team. Please send to everybody, including the joint secretary. Send a mail to them. Okay, and wait for some time. If there is no reply, again send a reminder with the details. That should save you, because all of us are going to face this problem. Many of us thought, 50% or 20% of the total expenses, which is not true. This is 20% on the contribution received. We are going to have challenges because every one of us are having this problem. Next year, if they give you from January to June some money, our problem will be mitigated. Sometimes it may not happen. Next year, grant may be delayed. Okay, so we are going to face this problem. Whenever you have this problem, communicate well in advance to the Home Ministry, because the section itself says that you can take permission from the Home Ministry, central government. So please do that. Okay, right? So I just give you, couple of minutes time for you to, write down your questions. Monisha, please put that. Okay, we will continue further. I hope I'm audible to every one of you now. Okay, if there is still some problem, put it in the chat box. I raise my voice. In fact, I'm keeping this mic also close to me so that you are able to hear me. Okay, right, good. The next one, very, very important change now. In fact, all of us are struggling with this now. What it says is that section 17, an important amendment. every person who has been granted certificate or prior permission of Section 12 shall receive foreign contribution only in the account designated as FCRA account by the bank, which shall be opened by him for the purpose of remittance of foreign contribution. Okay, right? And in such branch of State Bank of India at New Delhi. Okay, I don't need to explain which branch and all these things. We all are aware of all these things. Okay, we are asked to open all organizations which are registered under FCRA and which want to apply for FCRA will have to open account with New Delhi main branch, State Bank of India. Okay, right? And all the section further states that they may also open other FCRA account in any scheduled bank of his choice. Okay, right? For the purpose of keeping or utilizing the foreign contribution, which has been received from his FCRA account in specified SBI. So we are asked, in fact, I've got a flowchart diagram also, I'll explain that. We are allowed to retain our existing bank account as FCRA account, then other FCRA account, for us to retain and use, keep it and use foreign contribution. Receipt can only be in State Bank of India, New Delhi branch. Okay. Further, provided further that such person may also open one or more bank accounts in one or more scheduled banks of his choice, to which he may transfer for utilizing any foreign contribution received by him in FCRA account in specified branch of State Bank of India, New Delhi, or kept by him another FCRA account in a scheduled bank. Okay, right? So they are talking about 3-tier system now. The first one is this FCRA bank account with State Bank of India, New Delhi main branch. Then FCRA account, this is for utilizing the foreign contribution. The one is for receipt. Nothing else can come here. Your receipt can come here. Okay, this is for receiving foreign contribution. This is for retaining and utilizing. You can retain and use this. And you can open multiple accounts, FCRA multiple accounts. And what it says is that no other funds other than foreign contribution are received or deposited in such account. Okay, right? It's very clear. In these accounts, any of these account, only foreign contribution can be received. No other funds can be received in this. So all your FC will have to come only into this account. All your FC will have to come into your New Delhi main branch account, SBI. They cannot come into this account. In fact, now bank itself will not allow you. It cannot come into this account. Whatever foreign contribution are receiving will have to come into this account only. And from there, the money that is coming in, it can go into the other accounts. You receive foreign contribution, it can go into this account, or it can go directly into this account. This is your FCRA utilization account, donor specific. Supposing your donor says, I need exclusive account for my funds, you can directly transfer the funds from your State Bank of India New Delhi main branch to this utilization account. Okay, right? Or you can transfer this money into your erstwhile FCRA account, earlier account, and from there you can transfer. Okay, right? To these accounts. The choice is yours. Either way you can do it. You can directly transfer from here to here, or you can retain it in this account and then do it. But only restriction is that no local funds. You cannot deposit local funds into this. You cannot deposit local funds into any of these accounts. Only foreign contribution. Here it will not be possible because the state bank itself will take care. Whereas these accounts, the banks will not know, but you will be knowing that. And you make a mistake, you will be penalized for this. I'm going to talk about it in the afternoon, the various consequent or the penalties, compounding penalties that you may have to pay. So please remember, whatever foreign contribution you're receiving, it has to come into your FCRA main account only. Okay, right? Main branch, New Delhi branch. Okay, it has to come into that. And here we're going to have challenges in this. Okay, we'll talk about this multiple bank a little later. We're going to have challenges here. Supposing I get currencies, we talked about in the first session about currencies, even Indian currencies as foreign contribution, dollars as foreign contribution. Because the Act says, income derived from foreign contribution is also deemed to be foreign contribution. These are all directly foreign contribution, any currency, because I'm getting it from foreign source. When I get from foreign source, it is foreign contribution. When I get from foreign source, foreign currencies, I've explained that to you. The visitors come to my project. When they landed in India, they exchange their foreign dollars into Indian rupees. When they leave the country, they gave all the Indian currencies to me and then say I can use it for my project. And this money has to go into my FCRA account. In fact, FC4, we're going to see the compliance requirement. That's why I'm taking time to explain all these things. All these explanations have implications. Please understand. Okay, right? So these currencies need to be deposited in New Delhi main branch. We are going to have challenges in doing this. FC generated account amount. My bank interest, local bank interest is not be a problem because the utilization bank gives me interest that need not go there. It can go into that. Supposing I have fixed deposit. I have fixed deposit in a bank other than my utilization account. That interest may have to come here. Or I talked about my computer program, computer institute. That income may have to come here. We're going to face challenges in this. Okay, right? How am I going to do that? I get checks, traveler's checks. Okay, right? When I get money directly into my account, when they make online transfer, there is no issue at all. When my donors make online transfer, it will directly come to this online transfer. I'm not going to have any issue. I'm not going to face any issue at all when I get online transfer. But what happens when I get, local cash, when I get cash, when I get other checks, my donor comes and gives me, or he transfers checks to me. How do I manage that? I'm going to have challenges in doing this, all these things. So this is going to be a problem for me. How am I going to do that? Okay, right? So maybe State Bank will authorize me, authorize the local banks to collect, because today we have this core banking system, CBS, or anywhere banking facility available. So State Bank may allow us to deposit checks in any bank. Okay, they're also giving SWIFT code, which will enable us to deposit this transfers, direct transfer into State Bank of India New Delhi branch. But the other things are going to be a problem. Supposing I get refund of rental deposit. Okay, right? Sale of foreign contribution assets or program advance. Okay, right? What do we do with this? I'm not sure about sale of main assets. Sorry. I'm not sure of sale of assets where it has to go. But these two I can tell you for sure, certainty. Refund of rental deposit and program advance, you can deposit into your utilization account, because what it says is that Home Ministry has come out with FAQs. They keep coming out with FAQs. The similar FAQs is available, the recent one also. What they are saying is that they say that besides this FCRA account, the association may also open another FCRA account. And one or more accounts, utilization account in any scheduled banks. Okay, right? And here they say here no other funds other than foreign contribution can be deposited. This is a recent FAQs. Similar FAQs are available in the previous one. So, which means that I can possibly deposit this rental deposit and also the program advance into my utilization account. Okay, they are not direct foreign contribution, even though they have the characteristics of foreign contribution. I will be allowed. I don't think that will be a mistake. But let us wait for more clarification. I was hoping that in the in FAQs they will clarify better. But let us wait for more clarification. And transfer to other FCRA account, utilization account. Please be careful, even though the previous that they have removed it now. They have removed this FAQ now. Earlier in the FAQs, they said that you can transfer from one FC account to another FC account. You talk about utilization account, you can transfer that. But they say it is avoided, preferably to be avoided. So they themselves are not really encouraging you to do that. Okay, right? And in the latest FAQs, they are not talking about transferring from one utilization account to another utilization account. So my simple suggestion is that do not transfer from one utilization account to another utilization account. Plan your activity in such a way, because all these are utilization account. You can retain money and spend from that. Plan your activities, plan your funds in such a way that the inter transfer from one UC to another UC utilization account is avoided. Okay, right? And okay, we have seen this. What is the next one? Says that these we already talked about it. Okay, right? And they are talking about no other funds can be deposited into such account. So we already explained that to you. No local funds can be deposited into this FCRA account. Okay, right? And bank also has the responsibility. State Bank will have to report to the Home Ministry, right? They will have to report, I think, within 48 hours. Okay, right? The receipt of funds. They are just given 20, 2 days, not even working days. They have to report within 48 hours. The funds that are transferred there, and they'll be doing that. Okay, right? The next one. Exclusive bank account. I hope you understood that. Okay, right? I'm not going to give you time now. Let me go to the next one. Then we will talk about it. We'll give you time. Responsibility of recipient of foreign contribution. Okay, right? And every recipient of foreign contribution must report, or they use the word shall report in their official website. Okay, right? Or on the website specified by the central government. So far, they have not specified any website. But to save us all from the trouble, MHA, they themselves are hosting, right? They are publishing our reports in their website. Of course, only FC4 is available now. The other details are not really available. What we need to publish, we need to publish audited statement of account within 9 months from the close of the financial year. Normal time is 31st December. Okay, right? For us to publish. Any delay beyond that, there is penalty. You can file with penalty, or rather compounding fees. They use the word compounding fees. They don't use the word penalty. You have to pay the compounding fees and then you can file that. Okay, right? So otherwise, the time limit is only 9 months, 31st December. But for current year, government has given us extension till June. We will talk about it in the afternoon. What is the reason? What more is expected of us? Why they have given that? We'll see that. What are all required to be uploaded? We need to upload the statement of accounts, receipts and payment account, income and expenditure account, balance sheet, audit report. If you are having fund accounting, right? Some of us are aware of this fund accounting, fund-based accounting. If you're having fund-based accounting, you know to even enclose the balances also, right? Just balance sheet alone will not be sufficient. When I talk about balance sheet, I also talk about the annexures also. Okay, so that the reader will get an understanding of what we are doing. We also need to upload within 15 days from the end of every quarter, details of foreign contribution received. Okay, right? We are not asked to give utilization because utilization will take time. Every quarter, we need to publish in your official website or on the website specified by the central government. We need to report the foreign contribution received every quarter. So you'll have to give the details of the donors, what are all to be given. We'll have to give the details of the donor, amount received, we'll have to give, and the date of receipt, we'll have to report. You don't need to give utilization because it's understandable. You will not have the details of the utilization. What funds, from which donor, the name, address, and the amount that you received, date of receipt, you'll have to give it. The purpose also will have to be mentioned there. So please remember to do this, okay, right? We, our office, have been supporting all of you. My staff, Mr. Kanyappan, he regularly calls you, even if you don't give. He sends email to you immediately or just before the close of the quarter, asking you to submit the details. After that, he makes telephone calls to your team and then gets the data and then uploads that. Similarly, for an annual report also, from FC4 also, Mr. Kanyappan has been very responsible person. Hopefully will come on screen toward the end of the program. Every one of you know him, in fact, so there is no need for him to come. He calls you where there is deficiency, he speaks to you. In fact, filing, he knows better than me. I wanted to ask him to do that because he's not fluent in English and he feels little shy to come on the screen, so he will not do that. Otherwise, I would love him to do some of these filing aspects of it. He knows more than me, right? To be very honest with you, he's doing that. So those of us who have the website, please start doing this in your website. Okay, open a particular tab for reporting 1 year of another. There was a question recently, how many years account that we need to retain? Because the act requires 6, maybe 7 years, you can do that. But you'll have to retain the records because, off late we have been getting queries. CBI has been, not CBI, Home Ministry has been sending notices to some of our clients, and we are all participating in that. They're asking data right from the date of the organization, the foreign contribution received, utilization, they're asking for 5 years or 6 years or 7 years. The participants, beneficiaries list, and all those data are they're asking. So better retain those documents. It's going to be costly because saving or storing the main data is going to be tough, but we have to live with this, okay, right? I'll give you a couple of minutes for you to note down your points now, because I've been talking about maybe 30 minutes, so you can write down, then we will proceed further, okay? Monisha?
Yes, sir. Question time.
Sorry, Mom. Thanks. Okay, we'll go to the next one. This is again amended in September 2020. What it says is that there is absolute prohibition on transfer of foreign contribution. No person who is registered and granted a certificate or has obtained prior permission under this Act and receives any foreign contribution shall transfer such foreign contribution to any other person. This is absolute ban. You cannot transfer foreign contribution to any other person. Let's understand the implications of this, okay, right? We'll take one after another. Now, no more crowdfunding is possible. We used to have this Give India. We used to get funding from, we call this as crowdfunding from various small donors. For each organization, they advertise about your work in their website and raise money for you and then transfer that money to you. That is not possible. And networking of NGOs is also not possible anymore because no more the concept of mother NGOs or partner or field NGOs. All these are now stopped because I think every one of us who have been doing this have now transformed yourself. But the challenges are now, this is the same organization, okay, right? We have same PAN, one organization. This is, there are organizations that I know, they have only one PAN number, but they have multiple FCR registration. Okay, right? Each unit, they have FCR registration. Is it possible for us to transfer from one FCR registered organization, unit to another unit under the same organization? One PAN number, but multiple, one PAN number, but multiple FCR registration. Honestly, I have no answer for this because I do not know. Because they talk about prohibition to any other person, and they say person includes individual association. How they will treat, quite possibly they will treat, because FC4 they're asking, have you transferred money? If so, what is it transferred? So this can be a problem. And we also have situations where there are same group but have different PAN each place. For example, group of schools, Perambur, Broadway, Egmore, but under the same management, different schools, different PAN, different society, but different FCR registration number. This is not possible because this will be absolute, prohibited. We cannot transfer. Transfer to self-help groups, now it is not possible because government says you cannot transfer money to any other organization. Okay, whether they have FCRA or not, it is not possible. You can give it to the beneficiaries. Supposing there are 20, there is a self-help group we want to support, kind of an assistance, okay, right? Instead of giving it to the group, you can select the beneficiaries in the group and you can directly fund them. But you cannot give it to the self-help group. That is prohibited. But can I make payment for use of facilities? For example, I'm using training center. I'm using the retreat center. I'm using the vehicles. When I take training center, retreat center, They also give the vehicles for which they charge. Okay. And explanation 3, we talked about it earlier. That is why I talked about explanation 3 earlier. What does explanation 3 says? Explanation 3 says, any amount received by a person from a foreign source in India by way of fee, right? The fee could be fee charged by education institution or cost in lieu of services, goods or services rendered by such person in the ordinary course of business shall not be foreign contribution. So strictly speaking, in fact, in FAQ also, they are making it plain. Thanks. Okay. They are making it clear, saying that if you are making payment for renting of a place, usage of vehicle, that will not be foreign contribution. So you need to be clear, but you have to make sure that you are doing all these things correctly, because otherwise, if you are falling within the boundary of contribution, then it's a trouble. Okay, it's many times, what happened when we take this place on rent, because I have seen with my clients, right? They take training center on rent, but the training center will not give us a rent receipt because of GST implication. Retreat center will not give a main rent receipt. They will not give a GST invoice. They will instead give a donation receipt. If you get such one, then you're caught. What you have done, you have given donation, contribution, violated FCRA, because the law says you cannot transfer. Many of us are dependent on others. We need to get support because we don't have training facilities. We want to, even when we have training facilities, we don't want to conduct all my trainings in a campus. We want to take them outside. Now that the COVID is a little bit relaxing, so we want to go out and do it. Or even during COVID time, all normal time, we do the program. When you do a program outside, please ensure that you are getting the proper GST invoice. Many of our NGOs are not registered at GST. So they are scared to give a GST invoice, because if your invoice gets in the hand of GST official, then they will come and then say you are liable for GST. GST is 18%. Who has the money to pay 18%? So they think it is very easy for me to give rent donation receipt. Then we are caught. So when you are using such services, you will have to be careful what we are doing. This is the reason why I explained the concept at the beginning. So loan to self-help groups. Can I give loan to self-help groups? We already talked about the rest of the things. Only self-help groups we not talked about it. FAQs again talk about it. Okay, right? The number may be different. This I have taken from the earlier FAQs. What it says is that they have prohibited for purpose other than the stated purposes. So they can only use for the purpose for which they are granted registration or prior permission. Many of us, the objective will not be giving loans. Okay, right? It will not be giving loans. So you may be violating, because you cannot be entering into profitable venture. And every one of us, when we give, we add a little markup, because we need to cover for other expenses also. So whether this will be treated as a profitable venture and all this is a question mark. Today, Income Tax Department is questioning our microfinance activity, because they say you're doing commercial activity. We are suggesting, even where there is microfinance activity, where they are able to do that, to go for a NBFC company, to go for an NBFC.
No, this book, Vincent.
To go for a to go for a NBFC. So please be careful with doing self-help group. Okay, right. Next is annual returns. Annual reports, we will go through one after another, all these from FC4 in the afternoon. Okay, right, because this year the form is drastically changed. I think you should be knowing what is to be done, because all these play a very important role in our renewal also. Okay, right. So Annual accounts, we need certification from CA. I'll put that to you. Then you have to file annual return. All these are now online filing. None of them is manual now. In fact, one client of ours, they sent the documents manually, not aware that it should be sent online. For 2 years, they have not submitted. There is still an opportunity for them to file, but the penalty is huge. So they are not getting funds, so they are dilly-dallying whether to go in or not. So we'll have to file Form FC4, and then you'll have to file nil return even when you're not receiving foreign contribution. If there is no foreign contribution, even the opening balance and closing balance, nothing is received, there's no need for CA certificate. You not received foreign contribution, but there was beginning some balances in the bank. There was some foreign contribution. You need to get CA certificate because you have utilized foreign contribution this year, and you should do it within 9 months. We talked about it earlier. This year they've given some period. If you're receiving articles, okay, right, you should file Form FC1. FC4 will also cover that articles. Okay, FC4 also cover the value of that, but you should file FC1 also of the article that you receive. Similarly, if you are receiving securities, you need to file FC1 also for that. Okay, right? The value of that will be covered in FC4, but you need to report that. I don't think any of us are receiving securities, but some of us are receiving articles, so you should be reporting in FC1 that. And you have to upload the scanned copies of all these things. First is the auditor statement. We talked about it. These are the statement, receipts and payment account, IND and balance sheet, along with the CA certificate. All these with annexures. If there are schedules annexures part of that, you'll have to attach that. You should attach copy of the bank statement where exclusive bank account is maintained. For 1920, it will be other bank. 2021 onwards, it is going to be State Bank of India. 2021 will be FCRA account with other bank and State Bank of India, provided we're able to open before March. Otherwise, the other bank. If you're not able to open, then other bank only.
You are always right.
Okay, fine. Thank you. And what is to be done, most important thing, in fact, every one of you are aware of that. You'll have to get the bank statement attested, certified by a bank officer, okay, right? And you'll have to give a declaration from the chief functionary, and you'll have to scan a copy of the signature, chief functionary signature and the office seal. This is not like other filing where we use the digital signature. Maybe soon we'll come with that also. Right now, it's a scan copy with which you can file. Okay, right? Mr. Joseph, you are unmuting often. Please make sure that you're on muted one. Okay, thank you. The next one, very important changes come. Suspension part of it, okay, right? And this also we need to understand, because what it says is that pending cancellation for reasons recorded in writing, okay, right? Because otherwise central government, home ministry or FCRA cannot suspend for reasons recorded in writing. Your registration can be suspended for 180 days. And now this recent amendment says it can be suspended for further 180 days, which means that almost 1 year the registration can be suspended. And during that period of suspension, you're not allowed to receive any foreign contribution, okay, right? And utilization also, you can take, utilize subject to the condition which they have given it. And what is that condition? What is the main restriction they have given? They said that you can use only 25% unutilized balance when during the period of suspension. Remaining 75% you can use only after the suspension is revoked. So I'm taking little extra time. Let me complete the suspension and then we'll break for lunch. Okay, so let me repeat again. An organization registration can be suspended. The registration is not for permanent. if you violate, we'll talk about it when it can be suspended after the lunch break. Your registration can be suspended, and it can be suspended for 180 days. Earlier it was only 180 days. Now it can be suspended for 180 plus 180 days, which is 360 days. During the suspension period, you cannot receive any foreign contribution. You can use only 25% of the balance amount, unutilized contribution. In simple terms, you can utilize only 25% of the amount available with you. Let's say you have in your bank account and FDs together about 25 lakhs. So you can use only 25% of the 25 lakhs, about 6.5 lakhs you can use that. Okay, right? Or for easier understanding, let's say you have 10 lakhs, both in bank, fixed deposit and cash. You can use only 2.5 lakhs during the period of suspension. Okay, right? The remaining 75% you can use only after your suspension is revoked. Okay, right? What is the impact on this? The most important thing is that FCRA department requires time to complete their investigation because they have reasons to believe that you're violated. And for us, we are going to have a tough time to manage with 25% of the available funds. We need to raise local resources to implement our project. This is going to be tough, and the way forward is you need to follow the laws meticulously. Otherwise, we will have difficult time to follow man doing that. Because later on, we have to see the implications when they can suspend, and the next step is cancellation, when they will cancel, what happens when they cancel, and what is that voluntary surrender. We'll see all these things after the break. It is exactly 1 o'clock. We'll break for lunch. Before that, we'll keep this session open for about 5 minutes so that you can jot down your questions, and at 1:05 or 1:07, we'll shut down. For the afternoon, we are given another link. You can join for the afternoon session. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope you enjoyed, and I think the session is useful to you. And we'll break for lunch at 1:07 or 1:10 p.m. Till then, you can use this Zoom platform to put your questions, whatever we are discussed in the morning. Write down your questions so that after the break, we will take it up. Thank you so much. Thank you.